I'm Stuart Cameron. Welcome to Friday's look at rugby. Last weekend, Gala ended their Saturday at the top of the Premiership table after a narrow 23-21 win at Mansfield Park against Hawick, with a last-second drop goal from Craig Dodds. Melrose won at Glasgow Hawks. In National League One, Selkirk are at the top thanks to a win at Dundee, while Kelso beat Hillhead Jordan Hill on the road. Peebles went down to a surprising loss at home to local rivals Biggar, while Jed Forest lost at Watsonians. We'll look at tomorrow's fixtures at the end of the programme, but in tonight's show we hear from Lee Jones and Ruairi Howarth, who both played in the A match at Stirling on Monday night between Glasgow and Edinburgh. But we start with former Scottish international prop Peter Wright, who's now in charge of Selkirk. Last night I popped down to Philippock to meet him as his team was preparing for the visit of Watsonians tomorrow.
You know, I came in here this year after coaching Peebles for the last couple of seasons, and when I looked at the players when I first came in, I was really not surprised, but really pleased. You know, that the skill set, the guys, the quality of their basic skills is really good, and you know that's a lot of credit has to go to the school, I believe. You know, Graham Marshall and all the sort of school guys there are working with these guys on basic skills, and their handling and catching and passing ability are fantastic. So that gives you a really good basis. So what we've tried to do is make that better. You know, give them a skill set of offloading, which they were reasonably good at anyway, and that gives us a game where we can play some tempo, we can keep the ball alive, we've got the skill set to do that, and that means we can work just that maybe a little bit more on the contact area, which maybe wasn't a great strength, but has improved by game on game. So it's been a good start. 3 wins out of 3. But it's the old cliches. You take every game as it comes, and that's what we've done. We played Biggar in the first game of the season. Now everybody expected Biggar to be maybe an easy game. Sat bottom of the league last year, but they've made a number of changes to their club, and it was a tough match. We eventually came out comfortable winners, but it was tough. And then Hillhead, we beat them quite easily again. Lost a lot of players, so it has been a great start to the season. Yeah.
Now, Watsonians are a huge test, first against third. Yeah,
Watsonians is always a game that you enjoy because they play rugby, they go out and play rugby. I think that's the great thing about this league this year. Looking through most of the teams, there's very few negative teams. So I think, as long as the conditions are good, the pitch is in a fantastic condition. I think if both teams come with we certainly come with a positive mind, and I've absolutely no doubt that Watsonians will do the same. It could be an absolutely cracking match. There could be a lot of points, a lot of tries in it. There'll certainly be a lot of effort from us to play a game that's one that people enjoy. It's for me, it's a bit about a product on the field. Winning's good, but if you get a product as well that makes it fun, then 1, the players enjoy it, 2, the coaching staff enjoy it, and 3, the fans enjoy it. So that's important.
74 points last season at the corresponding fixture. It ended 53-21, I think, in the favour of Watsonians. Chunk was playing that day. I don't think he's in there, but Simon Taylor is, I believe.
Yeah, and I think the guys have got to embrace that. I think it's great for guys at this level to play against a world-class player like Simon Taylor.
Because that's what's missing, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, I think you lose a bit of that. In the club game when I was a player, your internationalists came back, whether they're retired or just come back, whereas now these guys unfortunately don't get the opportunity to play against people like that. So I think it's great for the club game that Simon's come back. We're hoping to give him a really, really tough time, obviously, and make his visit to Selkirk. And I don't even know if he's been to Selkirk before. That would be the really interesting thing, whether when he played club rugby with Heriots, did he ever actually come down to Selkirk? This is one of the greatest grounds in the country, and for a player maybe not to have played there, it'll be good for him. But we're going to enjoy it. We want to go out there and play rugby. We also want to go and win because it's a home game. And we believe the sort of Watsonians team that will come and try and play rugby as well will suit our style.
Now, the youngsters here, they've got no fear, have they? I mean, we're looking at them, you've Josh Welsh and all these people. I mean, there's no fear about them, and that's great.
Well, I think you're right to an extent. I think what they lacked was just a little bit of confidence, and what we've done here, and the message is, you will make mistakes, but we're not going to give you a hard time for making mistakes. If you're a rugby player, you need to try stuff, and if you're trying stuff, you're being positive, and if you're being positive, you're not going to get a hard time for that. So, we've said that to Callum McComb at 10, young Mikey Davis at 9, Josh Welsh 15. They're guys, they're talent. They're talented boys, and they're now trying stuff. You add a couple of experienced boys like Kieran Cooney and Darren Clapperton in there as well, who are just quality players. I think we've got good rugby players all over the park, and I think we're starting to get more confident, good rugby players, and that's the difference. You can be a good rugby player But if you're a confidently good rugby player, it makes a big difference.
So looking at sort of Selkirk now, you had a couple of years at Peebles, of course, so you're almost like an adopted borderer now, working in there. But what attracted you to Selkirk?
I had a chat with John Rutherford, and he's, it's like anything, it's about selling the club to people, and John, I think John sold the club to me. I think I sold myself to him, and kind of my ethos and what I'm trying to do with players, because for me, Stuart, it's about the players, it's about them going out and them enjoying themselves. They play the game on the Saturday. I stand on the touchlines and scream and shout, but ultimately it's them that play the game. And what we're trying to do is coach them, but give them the tools to play the game and let them pick the tool that's needed at the particular time in the game. And our job is to make sure they've got enough in the kit bag and the tool bag to open up teams. So we don't want to just be known as a team that throws it from touchline to touchline, because we can do that. We don't want to be known for a team that can score just from inside their own half, because we can do that as well. We want to be known as a team that can do everything. All round, we want to be able to catch and drive and score. We want to be able to scrummage well, attack from set piece, first phase, keep the ball for 9 or 10 phases and keep attacking. So we want to be multi-talented, and to do that, you've got to have the right attitude, you've got the right fitness, and ultimately you've got to have the right skill set. And I believe in the squad that there's a lot of players like that, and there's a lot of strength and depth. There's a lot of, some of the positions, there's some 4 or 5 guys, and other positions a bit bare, but we're looking to improve the players individually, and I just believe then collectively that makes the team work a lot better.
And it's a league that's really wide open. I mean, you have a look at the way it's all standing at the moment. Jed Forrest started off at the top, they're now down to 8th. They will probably go back in the top half after this week. It's one of these where you've just got to keep winning and get into that mentality. And I think, a club like Selkirk and other clubs as well, getting out of National League and into the Premiership, it's not the easiest thing to do. But once you're in the Premiership, the big thing is to hang on in there. And some clubs, are kind of shying away from Premiership. Have you noticed that? Talking to some people saying, well, they're comfortable in the National League. Premiership is one step too far. You presumably don't believe that.
No, I've always believed that every team I coach, we're going to win every game. So, taking that a step further, it means you're looking to win the league. And I've argued till I'm blue in the face with people that if you say you're just going to avoid you just want to avoid relegation or stay mid-table, inevitably you're in the relegation battle. But if you go and say you want to go out and win the league, which everybody does, I think, it's not arrogant. It's just an understanding that you believe in the ability of the players. And I think your question regarding the quality of the league, it is a very open league. I think no disrespect to Hill Head, but because of the amount of players that they lost last year, they might be the whipping boys. But they'll get better as the season goes on. I know the coaches and I know how good they are, so they'll improve. And they'll take a couple of scalps. But everywhere else, I think it is pretty open. And as I said before, that for me, the quality of the league is the fact that I don't see any negative teams in the league. I see teams that want to play rugby. I know most of the coaches involved in each team, and I see positive coaches there. And I see ambitious clubs. I look at a GHA. I think they're really ambitious with the guys they've put in place. Watsonians are desperate, Stuart's Melville are desperate to get up there. Aberdeen and Dundee will be desperate to get back into the Premiership. And you know what? We want to get up there as well, because you don't have a God-given right to be anywhere. But I just believe with the quality that we have got, we're good enough to be in certainly the top 2 or 3 of this division. And then we've got to test ourselves against the top 10 in the country. And it poses different problems, but you worry about those problems when you get up to that level. So at the moment we're worrying about the 11 problems that we have, and that's the 11 teams that we play against.
Peter Wright will be looking for a 4th league win out of 4 tomorrow, with Selkirk trying to make amends for the 51-23 loss at home to Watsonians in the corresponding fixture last year. Now on Monday, a bunch of Borders players took part in the reserve game at Stirling between Glasgow and Edinburgh. The game featured plenty of internationals, including Ali Killick, Sean Maitland and Finn Russell, and Glasgow won 30 points to 5. It was good to see Melrose's Austin Lockington and Ewan McQuillan, Gala's Chris Auld and Ruairi Howarth, and Hawick's Lindsay Gibson all taking part. Former Selkirk player Lee Jones was also in the mix on Monday night, and we'll hear from him and Ruairi Howarth shortly. But first, a little chat with Austin Lockington.
I think it's good. It's also good for the development, and it gives players to come play this on a Monday and then go play in the Premiership on a Saturday. It gives you a bit of confidence, and sometimes a little confidence kicks you need just to get into form, and
Big step up, a lot faster, a lot more physical. Good experience, learned a lot from that game. Bridging the gap between obviously Prem 1 and then if I was fortunately to make the big step up, then a bit of experience in there. Obviously playing with the professionals inside and outside me and against them. I think there's more A games planned, so hopefully be involved in them and then take my experience back to Gala and work from there.
If the sevens need me, then I can play sevens. If not, I'm with Glasgow. So I've been training full time with Glasgow for the past couple of months, and that's been my focus so far. But throughout the season, I might go to sevens and play there. For me, it's just being able to play rugby. So if I'm not playing at Glasgow, there's obviously a lot of competition in the back three there. If I'm not getting game time, I can pick up some game time on the sevens, which is great for me. Whenever I'm playing rugby, it's an opportunity. There's always going to be someone watching, whether it's with Glasgow in the 15s or on the 7th circuit. It's always an opportunity to show what I can do and push forward and get some consistency there.
Well, let's have a look at tomorrow's fixtures. In the Premiership, Hawick hope to do what Melrose did last week and get a win at Glasgow Hawks. Vice-Captain Bruce McNeil recognises how tight the league is this season.
There's no one side dominating, and every game's really hard. You know, there's no easy teams here, so we know that every week we've got to be at the top of our game and we've got to get training Tuesday, Thursday, and we've got to stick at it. You know, there's no easy game on a Saturday now in this league, which is really good for club rugby in Scotland, I think. Melrose
are at home to Curry, while Gala hosts Stirling County at Netherdale. We hear again from Melrose's Austin Lockington, but first Gala coach George Graham.
It's a strange situation to be so angry when you're sitting at the top of a Premiership, but I think, as I said, your luck will run out eventually, and I don't want to rely on luck. We need to rely on playing the kind of game we can play.
You've got Curry this weekend, obviously, and we all remember what happened on the last day of the season against Curry.
Yeah, I know. So hopefully we take a bit of confidence into that game, you know, and hopefully the boys can pull up with some razzle-dazzle. We need to become a habit again. Yeah, so hopefully we just get a few more wins under the belt, and we got Curry this weekend. So.
In National League 1, Jed Forest will be eyeing up a win at home to Stuart's Melville to get themselves back into the top half of the table. Kelso v Dundee will be a good scrap for the points at Pointer Park, while Selkirk take on Watsonians at Philip Hawke. And that will be our featured game on Radio Borders on Super Scoreboard Live tomorrow with Stuart McFarlane and Dale Clancy, your commentary team. In National 3, Hawick YM will play host to Murrayfield Wanderers. In East League 1, it's Berwick v Portobello, Duns v Dalkeith and Hawick Lindeen against Dunbar. Hawick Quins are await Linlithgow, while Langham travel to North Berwick. East League 2 will be very interesting indeed. The first local derby for many years between Earlston and St Boswell's, that game being played at the Hawk. While in East League 3, another derby, Gala YM against an improving Walkerburn. Well, Super Scoreboard Live is on air from 2 tomorrow with Hugh Brown, with the Sunday Rugby Roundup at 10 o'clock. I'll be back next Friday, but that's it for Rugby for tonight.